On March 4, 2025, a man backed his 3-year-old Tacoma into my bay so carefully you would have thought he was parking a vintage Supra. He was not worried about a noise. He was not chasing a check engine light. He was proud. He told me he had just done his own oil change for the first time, and he had upgraded the truck, putting in a good thick 5W-30 instead of the thin stuff the dealer used, because a guy at the parts counter told him thicker oil protects better, especially for a truck that works. Today, I am revealing why that one decision, made with the best intentions in the world, is quietly working against the exact engine he was trying to protect. And why the oil you think is the safe choice is very often the one your Toyota was never built to use. I did not laugh at him. I have heard that same sentence from 100 drivers. Thicker is stronger. Thicker is safer. Thicker is what real trucks need. It feels true. It feels like common sense. And for the engine your father drove in 1994, it might have been. But modern Toyotas do not think the way old engines did, and the oil they want is not chosen by feel, by tradition, or by what sounds tough at the parts counter. It is chosen by engineers who designed the entire engine around a specific thickness of oil, and when you change that thickness, you are quietly changing how the whole machine behaves. Here is the uncomfortable truth most drivers never hear. The viscosity grade on your oil cap is not a suggestion about quality. It is a structural specification. It belongs to your engine the same way a bolt size or a bearing clearance belongs to your engine. And when a parts counter, a quick lube, or a YouTube comment talks you into upgrading to a thicker oil, they are not protecting your engine. They are overriding the people who built it. Let me explain what those numbers actually mean, because almost nobody does. Take 0W20, the grade on most modern Toyotas. The 0W is the winter rating. It shows how easily the oil flows when it is cold, before the engine is warm. The 20 is how thick the oil stays once the engine is up to operating temperature. Now look at 5W30. The 5W means it flows slower when cold than a 0W. The 30 means it stays thicker when hot than a 20. So when that Tacoma owner upgraded, he made his oil thicker in both directions, slower to reach the engine on a cold morning, and heavier once everything was hot. He thought he was adding protection. What he actually added was resistance. And resistance in a modern Toyota engine breaks things you cannot see. Start with the cold morning, because that's where most engine wear actually happens, not on the highway. Not under load. In the first 10 seconds after you turn the key, before oil has climbed all the way to the top of the engine. Every metal surface up there is waiting for that first film of oil to arrive. The faster it arrives, the less metal grinds on metal. That's the entire reason Toyota moved to 0W oils in the first place. A 0W reaches the camshafts and valvetrain faster on a cold start than a 5W does. So when you swap a 0W20 for a 5W30 to protect the engine, you have just made it slower to lubricate at the exact moment it's most vulnerable. You didn't add armor, you delayed it. Now think about your phone for a second. When it's cold and you pull it out of your pocket on a winter morning, it lags. The battery is sluggish, the screen is slow, everything takes a beat longer to respond. Cold, thick oil is the same idea, except the lag is happening between metal parts that are already moving thousands of times per minute. You want that lag as short as humanly possible. Thin oil shortens it. Thick oil stretches it out. But cold start is only the beginning. Because modern Toyota engines use oil to do jobs older engines never asked it to do. Your engine does not just lubricate with that oil, it thinks with it. Open up almost any Toyota built in the last 15 years, your RAV4, your 4Runner, your Camry, your Tacoma, and you will find a system called VVTI, Variable Valve Timing. It changes the timing of your valves on the fly, constantly, to give you a smooth, idle, strong, low-end pull and clean, efficient cruising. And here is the part nobody tells you. That system is driven by oil pressure. Little control valves meter oil into chambers that physically rotate the camshaft. The whole thing was calibrated, tested, and signed off around a specific oil thickness. Feed it the thin oil it was designed for, and it responds instantly. Feed it heavier oil, and the response slows down. The system still works, but it is now reacting through a medium that is thicker than what its engineers tuned it against. That is why some drivers who go up a grade report a faint rattle on cold startup, or an idle that just feels slightly off, and they cannot say why. The engine is not broken. It is wading through oil that is heavier than the recipe called for. There's more. A lot of modern Toyota engines, including the new turbocharged ones in the latest Tacoma and Tundra, have tiny oil jets underneath the pistons that spray the underside of each piston to cool it. That spray depends on flow and pressure designed around a specific viscosity. The oil pump itself is sized for that viscosity. The bearing clearances, the microscopic gaps the oil has to fill, are machined for it. None of this is random. The thinness of the oil is woven into the dimensions of the engine. So when someone tells you a number on a cap is just marketing, ask yourself, would you say the same thing about the size of the main bearings? Now here's where I have to be honest with you, because this is where most videos lie by leaving half the story out. Toyota did not pick these ultra-thin oils purely because they're best for your engine. They picked them, in large part, to hit fuel economy regulations. Thinner oil means less internal drag, and less drag means more miles per gallon and lower emissions on the government tests every automaker has to pass. That's not a conspiracy. It's just the truth of how the industry works. And the proof is sitting in plain sight. The exact same RAV4 engine, with the exact same oil pump and the exact same VVT hardware, is sold all over the world, and Toyota recommends 0W16 for it in the United States, while recommending 5W-30 for it in much of Europe and 10W-30 in Mexico. Same engine, same internals. Different number on the cap because different countries have different fuel rules and different climates. So both sides of the internet argument are wrong, and that's what I want you to walk away with. The crowd that says thicker is always safer, dump 5W-30 in everything, is wrong, because they are ignoring cold start flow, the VVT calibration, and the oil pump and clearance design your engine was actually built around. And the crowd that treats the manual number as untouchable gospel is also missing something, because Toyota's own manual quietly admits there is room to move. Read it carefully. The modern Toyota manual literally says an oil with a higher viscosity may be better suited if the vehicle is operated at high speeds or under extreme load conditions. That's Toyota telling you, in their own words, that the thin grade is the baseline for normal driving and fuel economy, and that heavy work in heat may justify going up. So what does your engine actually want? It wants the grade matched to two things: the design it was built around, and the way you actually drive it. For the vast majority of you, daily driving, commuting, errands, the occasional road trip, your engine wants exactly what is printed on the cap. If it says 0W20, it wants 0W20. If your newer RAV4 or hybrid says 0W16, it wants 0W16. And yes, the 2026 RAV4 and the new all-hybrid Camry are moving to 0W8, a grade that sounds almost impossibly thin until you remember everything I just told you about cold start flow and tight modern clearances. For these engines, reaching for 5W30 because it feels more protective is not an upgrade. It is a downgrade your engine has to fight against every cold morning for the life of the oil. But if you have a Tundra towing a loaded trailer up a grade in Arizona in July, or a Tacoma that sees real desert heat under heavy load, or a truck that spends its life working rather than commuting, now you are in the exact territory Toyota's manual carved out. In sustained extreme heat and load, a slightly heavier grade can hold its film better when the oil is screaming hot, and that is a legitimate manual-sanctioned reason to consider stepping up. Not because thicker is magically stronger, but because your conditions are no longer the conditions the baseline grade was optimized for. And if you want the clearest possible proof that this nuance is real and not just shop talk, look at what Toyota itself did with the twin-turbo 5W-30 engine in the recent Tundra and Sequoia. When those engines ran into durability concerns, part of Toyota's response was to revise the recommended oil to a heavier grade than 5W-30 they originally specified. The same company that chases every fraction of a mile per gallon decided that, in that specific case, a thicker oil was the right protection. That tells you everything. Even the engineers will go up a grade when durability outranks fuel economy. The mistake is not going thicker. The mistake is going thicker blindly, on an engine and in conditions where it does nothing but slow your cold starts and drag down your mileage. Here's the part that should make you a little angry, the same way it made that Tacoma owner go quiet when I explained it. Most of the time, nobody is making this decision for your benefit. The parts counter recommends the thicker oil because it sounds like an upgrade and it is an easy sell. The quick lube down the road stocks a couple of common grades in bulk and pours whatever is closest to right, and 5W-30 is the most common bottle on Earth. Almost nobody at the counter is opening your specific manual, checking your specific engine code, and thinking about your VVT calibration, your climate, and how you actually drive. They are reaching for the bottle that ends the conversation. And because the engine does not scream, because the wrong but close grade still runs fine for a long time, the cost shows up slowly. A little worse fuel economy, a slightly slower cold start every winter, a VVT system working a hair harder than it should for years before anyone connects the dots. That is the trap with oil, and it is the same trap with almost everything I talk about on this channel. The damage that bankrupts you is not loud. It is quiet, it is gradual, and it hides behind good intentions. So, before your next oil change, do 3 things and you'll be ahead of almost every Toyota owner on your street. First, ignore the parts counter and the comment section and read your own oil cap and your own manual for your exact model year and engine. The number changed across the years, even within the same nameplate, so don't assume. Second, match the grade to how you actually use the truck. Use the printed grade for normal daily driving, and only consider stepping up if you genuinely tow heavy or work the engine in sustained extreme heat, the exact situation the manual already accounts for. And third, stop measuring oil quality by how thick it feels in your hand. The best oil for your engine isn't the heaviest one. It's the one your engine was designed to think with. That Tacoma owner came back at his next change and let me put the correct grade in. He told me the cold starts felt cleaner and his average fuel economy ticked back up within a couple of tanks. Nothing dramatic, no fireworks. Just an engine finally running on the oil it was built for, instead of the oil somebody talked him into. And that's the whole point. Your Toyota was engineered by people who knew exactly what they were doing. The trick isn't to outsmart them. It's to stop letting other people talk you out of trusting them. If this changed the way you think about that number on your oil cap, hit like so that more Toyota owners stop getting upgraded into the wrong oil. Subscribe if you want the truth about your truck instead of the version that sells the most product. If a shop or a parts counter has ever talked you into a thicker oil for protection, drop it in the comments. The most expensive mistakes are the ones that feel like good decisions while you are making them.